Question of the day. What is your favorite polyomino laying game? Now, thank you, Jordan, by the way. We have an entire genre of these games. For a while there was only a few that had come out. If you take these polyominoes, which are basically tiles that have all sorts of funky shapes that you would see kind of like Tetris tiles, and you would arrange them on a grid trying to score some sort of method, whether it be filling your board like Kodama Forest or my mind just totally blank. What's the one that my kid loves from Hobby Games? It's Tiny Park. Tiny Park is another one. Barren Park. All these are there to where you're trying to fill your space out or get points, and that's really where Barren Park excels, where you're filling your board out to score points versus trying to completely fill it. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite polyomino laying game is, because today we're taking a look at a brand newish game from Uwe Rosenberg from Capstone Games. This is New York Zoo, and it's got elements of Rosenberg, big Rosenberg, as well as elements of little Rosenberg, and you know the difference of what I'm talking about when I say that. Let's dive in and take a look at this polyomino laying game right now, see if it's one of the best, better, worst, whatever it is, where it falls in the list of polyomino laying games, and if you should get your hands on New York Zoo. All right, so here's the realistic setup for 3 players. When I say realistic, I mean because some people have them so nice and fancily laid out, and well, this is what it would look like on my table. So you have all your animals in here. They're all different types of animal meeple type things. You've got meerkats, you've got the Arctic foxes, flamingos, kangaroos, and penguins. Yes, that is paint all over my hands. I've been painting Ankh all day. Now, let's talk the setup. You'll notice on the main board here, there are certain colors in each of these sections. Now, you see that we've already got tiles laid out in these sections, but these are color-coded by shades of green. So you notice a really dark green, lighter green, and lightest green would be this one right here at the bottom. This one right here. So you can see the gradient in color there between these 4 colors. You're going to lay those out as dictated by the setup on the board here, and the stack matters because you're going to put the lightest ones at the bottom, and the lightest ones take fewer to fill typically. When you fill an enclosure, you're going to take one of these tiles, and these obviously will take a lot of space on your board. After all, the goal of the game is to fill your board. The first person to do that wins the game. Now, you're going to start the game with a few animals based on what's on the top of your player board here. For instance, ours is the meerkat and the kangaroo. So we will start with a meerkat and a kangaroo in our area over here. Now, we are player number 3, which matters because these houses for player 1 are fewer, but they do get to go first. On your turn, the elephant starts here. You're going to move the elephant up to 3 spaces away in a 3-player game. So that would be 1. Blue ones count as spaces if you want to. 2 or 3. This third enclosure here would give us the top one off this tile. Now, if we chose the blue one, you could take up to 2 animals of the type shown. So we have a kangaroo, and I believe it is a meerkat, no, a penguin there. So the downside is we don't have an enclosure currently to do that. So we would need to take this one, for instance, and start an enclosure. Now, once you place the enclosure, it is set in stone. And then you can move up to 2 identical animals up from anywhere in your zoo into this new enclosure. That does include the houses. These are kind of holding areas. So the reason that matters, let's say, for instance, I had this sitting out here. Say I had a kangaroo here. When I place this new enclosure, I could, if I wanted to, place up to 2 from around the park. So 1 from the house and then 1 here. And you could not get rid of the last one on an area. The only way to do that is by filling it up completely. Once you fill it up, you're going to take them all off, put 1 of the remaining ones, if available, over here in the house area. And then you will leave this on the board, but then you're going to take 1 of those tiles like we mentioned earlier. If you were to land on one of the blue spaces, you would take up to 2 animal types. And when placing animals, here's the interesting rule. So let's just say we received a meerkat from the blue space. I will then place it from the bank over here onto the space, and then you may move up to 1 out of your houses, another one meerkat out there. Obviously, the whole point is to get these full, and the fuller they are, the faster you win. Now, the other thing, because this is an Uwe Rosenberg game, is this breeding phase. Now, the breeding only happens when a player crosses one of these orange colored tiles here. Now, when that happens, excuse me, these are a little bit messy, I moved it. When you cross, for instance, this with the elephant, so let's just say on our turn we start here and we go 1, 2, 3. then everyone who has 2 meerkats in it up to 2 enclosures will breed. So you have 2 areas on the board in which you had 2 meerkats, 1 meerkat here and 1 meerkat here. This helps you fill up things faster. Again, it's up to 2 places, but it does benefit you to have 2 different enclosures of meerkats. As you play, these are going to empty out. As they empty out, you no longer count that space as a space. So this would not be 1, 2. It would be 1, 2, 3. You're going to keep playing and keep playing and keep playing until someone has filled out their zoo. Those are the only rules in how to play New York Zoo. Quick, fantastically fun building game here in which you are trying to finish your polyominoes out. So that's how you play New York Zoo. It's actually pretty straightforward and simple, right? You are basically going around the board and taking either a tile or animals. But when you take the animals or tiles, you have the ability to kind of combo on some more animals. And the more animals you can combo in a turn, the better you are for it, because the more you clear in one turn, the more that you get to score those other tiles that fill in the gaps. Maybe it's the giant one that's, I think it's 2x8. Or maybe it's just small ones that will fill in those gaps that you can't fill otherwise. Isle of Cats, that's the one I meant earlier for points, one of the best. But this one, it first of all looks good, right? It looks really good on the table. The enclosures are pretty generic though. When I say it looks good, what I'm actually referring to is not so much the polyominoes. Maybe that's the charm, is that the way that the game looks are those screen printed meeples. I say screen printed, I think just the penguins are. Let me think if that's right. But yeah, but they look good, all these animals filling up your enclosures. And then from a table view, it looks good. And then from the playing of the game, it's a very fun game, first of all, in the sense that it's simple. All you're going to do is move that elephant and either take animals or take an enclosure. Then it plays so smoothly. That's what I like about it. You're going to essentially try to do the quickest version of filling it out as you can, but by taking advantage of also the big Rosenberg, and this is what I mean by that earlier, breeding animals. So you're going to breed animals in up to 2 of those enclosures. That little bit alone really heightens the strategy of this game, because you might think, oh, I can hurry up and try to fill up this single enclosure of meerkats, or I can build 2 and get double speed meerkats at the same time. And that is actually one of the hard things you've got to juggle is it time to do a second enclosure of the same animal, or is it time to just merely continue on so that you can hurry up and finish that one before someone takes the tile that you want. Now, the little single tiles are unlimited, but if, for instance, you have an L-shaped block left and someone takes that one, well, then you're up the creek, right? You might have to scavenge to do more. But ideally, the further you get into the game, the more easy it is, or the easier it is to get those tiles filled, because the lighter colors have less spaces on them, or fewer spaces on them, I should say. So all in all, this is one of my favorite polyomino laying games, because it's more about what you do on the polyominoes as opposed to just laying the polyominoes. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. Laying the tiles in a game is fun. There are many that do that really well, but laying them and then putting stuff on them in this game so that they serve a purpose really helps this, in my opinion, elevate it to one of the best. I also like how quick it plays and how easy it plays. You're either taking animals or taking tiles. So simple. So it's just got enough of strategy, though, through those manipulations of animals taking, and then through the manipulations of following along. Essentially, if you place this one, oh, I can take this one out of my house, or I can move these from here. Those kind of little things make this a great game. So, huge fan of New York Zoo. If you're a fan of polyomino games, this one's definitely for you. If you aren't always a fan of them, this one also might be for you because of the area placement aspect of the game. So I'm Bryan Drake here on the Dice Tower. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, etc. at Dice Tower Bryan. You can see my fancy new Ankh painting video stuff on there. Until next time, we'll see you.